Ella, welcome to another episode of Big Conversations with your girl Tee Adeyemo. How are you? I hope you're keeping warm. Today is February 5th, 2025. Um, yes, I hope you're keeping warm. We have a huge lineup today for the next 90 minutes, and I sincerely hope you stay with us. Our first guest on Big Conversations is Ben Acquaye. He's a community leader. He's a thought um, pattern leader as well. He helps you to change the way you think. Plus, he's a lecturer out in Lloyd's Minister. He joins us now to kick off the evening. And don't you forget that Big Conversations is where we talk about everything, including politics. So without much ado, here is Ben. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Hello, T. Always a pleasure to connect with you. How are
I'm,
you doing? How's the family?
I'm cold. Well, you've told me off. I can't do well. I can't dwell in the fact that on Monday was the peak was like minus 33, minus 33. Yesterday reached minus 28. And today we've been just swimming in minus 22. Let's move to Texas, eh?
No, enjoy. They say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. When life gives you cold weather, you had fun with it because it's not going to last forever. Just know that.
Hmm.
In the middle of summer, you would beg for a little chill from here. You would beg for it. You would pay ridiculous money for it.
It's true. I agree. In the summer, when all the mosquitoes are flying and when your body's itching, and you do showers upon showers, you want this now. But right now, it's ridiculous. You've got to admit.
It's not ridiculous. Enjoy it whilst it lasts.
Well, I like your positive attitude. So it's not likely you're moving to Florida, hey?
No,
Texas, maybe?
no.
Let's go to the Bahamas then.
I'm content with things right now. When when I stop being content, you will be the first to know.
Fine then. Let's stay in the deep freeze and find our happiness in the cold weather. All right. So thank you, Ben, so much for joining us tonight. And I wanted to start with Black history, which is often underrepresented in mainstream narratives. How do you see your role as an educator in ensuring that we keep teaching and acknowledging Black history?
You know, a lot of younger people are increasingly more informed about Black history. And I think many of us who have the opportunity to engage with groups of people, individuals, we have the opportunity to con- continue these conversations or start these conversations. This year for Canada, the theme for Black History Month is Black Legacy and Leadership, celebrating Canadian history and uplifting future generations. This is a powerful theme, and there are so many directions we could take the conversation. Black legacy and leadership. Black history is Canadian history, and the powerful role in uplifting future generations. You know, you and I today have opportunities that a lot of people behind us worked so that we could stand on their shoulders and access opportunities that we wouldn't have been able to access without their help. And therefore, we have a duty now to leave a legacy, to build upon what we came to meet, so that those who come after us would have a new platform to continue this very important work. Are you
Of course.
okay?
No, no, no. Here, I let you, yeah, to finish that train of thought. So, what would you say are the biggest challenges we face in our communities? And I know Black History is one of the times we talk about it, and you're saying that the younger generation right now they are a bit more into Black history and Black culture, and we cannot devoid Canada from that. Canadian history is Black history, or Black history is Canadian history. I hear that, but over in America, with their new president Trump, is doing away with DEI. He's doing away with Black History Month, with Women's Emancipation Month. He's doing away with key cultural icons. So, what do we need to do over here in Canada to make sure we don't end up anti woke, right? We
You
don't end up
know,
side of the spectrum.
it's sad, but um, a lot of the time when people don't like something, they give it names. And before you realize, those names take on a new meaning. Woke has a proper definition in the dictionary. It's about awareness of issues, societal issues involving race, being aware, being informed. But today, woke is a bad word. The same goes for DEI. And at the heart of this is the need to remain steadfast in the important things that matter to Black Canadians. In my view, there are three things that, especially at this time, it really matters to Black Canadians. Number one, the opportunity to enjoy our fundamental human rights. We've seen many, many cases of police brutality, of injustice in the legal system, in the educational system, in the workplace. And we just want what everyone else gets to have, the opportunity to enjoy our human rights. The second important thing that we want after rights will be resources to educate ourselves, to inform ourselves, to train ourselves, to spread the word, to learn the history, and to celebrate success. And then the final thing that Black and other minorities want is representation. Is the opportunity to sit at the big kids table, not the little kids table, an opportunity to sit at the big table where big decisions are made. And you know, it's we've come a long way, but we still have a lot of work to do in that regard. And look, a lot of young people are very interested in the course, in the history, and of course, in a common future, which brings Martin Luther King's dream that little boys and little girls of all colors would just mingle and play, and they will grow together with a better society.
Mm, I hear you. We both were the Yorubas of Edmonton. You did one of the speeches for us, one of the keynotes, and one of the young girls said there were lots of anti-racist stories that were shared. And my question is, even though we've been doing Black History every month, would we need to celebrate Emancipation Month in August as well to retrench some of these narratives from our side? Because it doesn't seem to be working, does it?
Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't seem to be working. I will tell you this. A few years ago, I was invited to be a judge of a 4-H speaking competition in rural Saskatchewan. When I told my friends I was going to go to rural Saskatchewan, a lot of things were said. Oh, you're going to be a tourist attraction because people like you do not show up in rural Saskatchewan. Now, I went there, and yes, I was the only minority there. So what? But there was this very important 4-H public speaking competition. And at the senior most level, these are older teenagers. This I was the chief judge, and these kids came to do their presentations. Now, one speech after the other left a huge impression on me. And this particular speech did leave a bit more than the others. This white kid came up, and his speech was about John Ware. Now, as an Albertan, you know that John Ware was born in the States in slavery, moved over to Canada and settled in Alberta. And, when we talk about ranching, we talk about being a cowboy, we talk about his exploits, people talk about John Ware. Now, this kid had done his homework. He had researched deeply, and he was talking about the challenges and the racism that John Ware faced. In fact, he was so good at some point, I feared he might quote the newspapers who used the N word to describe John Ware. And one of the biggest highlights of his speech was how he connected John Ware to, at the time, the trial of Chauvin who killed George Floyd. That was such a very powerful speech. And at the end, I recused myself from the panel of judges so that they would make their decision. And then they came back to me and said, "We have a tie. You have to break the tie." I told them I wasn't breaking this tie. Here's what I would tell you. Ask yourself, in a week from now, in a month from now, in a year from now, which of these speeches will you still remember for the impact it would have had on you? And they came back, and this kid who did a John Ware speech won. If somebody had told me that I would go to rural Saskatchewan,
Wow.
in the heart of the farming community,
Wow.
in amongst white people, and find a white teenager
Mm,
who has done so much homework
mm,
about John Ware
mm,
and could relate the substance of his speech to the trial of Chauvin who killed George Floyd, I
mm,
would have told that person they were crazy.
mm.
So it's very easy to not see some tangibles immediately. But, the discrimination and the racism that we have seen has taken a long time to be established. And sadly, it might take a little while to be completely uprooted. It will take a lot of things to come together. And one of these is society and people changing their attitudes and perceptions. And for me, I remain very positive that things will work out. We have to do our part.
And I guess I must join you on that positive stretch. Like, wow, what are the chances that you find a Caucasian teenager articulating Black history like you did and with passion that you remember. And even me, I'm
mm,
touched.
mm,
And yeah, so I don't, I think the wisdom from what I'm hearing you say is we should not generalize. The work is being done. The generation Alpha coming behind, the next generation coming behind. Maybe we've done enough work to sensitize them. I haven't said that
mm,
my daughter had this class as a classmate that would well just came into the country as an Ukrainian, but has only managed is learning English, but has only managed to pick up the slow words against Black people. And so anytime he tries to speak, he aims all these slurs at her, and she's the only Black girl in her class. And so one day she got fed up and she goes to their teacher to report him, to say, even though his English is not great, he knows how to say really, really mean things um, about Black people. And so the ed teacher sat him down and they sort of reorientated him, they educated him as to how he was meant to speak, and that you hear
mm,
slow words on YouTube
mm,
don't mean it should be your language.
mm,
Now he goes out of his way to be kind to my daughter, and she
mm,
tells me, and I like her, I feel like, wow, he's turned. I heard so
mm,
many nasty things he said, and like, wow, he's turned. But the skeptic in me, like, just be careful.
mm,
Don't trust him
mm,
entirely.
mm,
Someone could come back, but I shouldn't say that. But just like you, so I'm inspired that that there are good people out there looking to educate, that there are generations or people out there who know this story and
mm,
sympathize with the cause. And so it takes me to my next question.
mm.
How would you, what advice would you give to young Black leaders, either in the rural areas or in urban, you know, in urban spaces who want to make
Mm,
a difference, but they are not sure of how to start, who want to
mm,
change how people think around racism.
mm,
This is a month we have all that conversation and then it dies,
mm.
we go back to normal. But what would you say? What sort of advice would you give to them? They want to make a difference, they don't know how to start.
One of the easiest ways to influence people is to show it in your actions, because actions always speak louder than words. You can preach all you want, but people watch what you do. And a lot of people would want to judge you by what you look like, by who you associate with. A lot will also judge you by what you do and how you do what you do. And excuse me, like our mothers told us, we know we have to do 10 times the work. We should do it. We know we are always being watched. So live to very high standards and let people know that your character is unimpeachable. Let them know that. Let them see it. And then from that point, you can bring people into the fold, moderate your expectations. I mean, look, I've told a lot of people that many of us have always thought racism was a disease that some people have. It is not. So some people will say, well, I took my Black neighbor out for lunch. I invited them for my barbecue. See, I'm not racist. But racism is not a disease. It is about systems of power which oppress people who are in the minority and take away from them their rights, resources, and representation. And therefore, of course, it also includes race prejudice. But we do quite often focus on the race prejudice part. So, yeah, to folks out in the community doing really hard work, let us walk the walk. Let's walk the talk. Let's show with our character that we really are living a life that deserves and warrants respect, recognition, and a seat at the table. And then when we get these opportunities, show people the quality that we have. It was W.E.B. Du Bois who said, Black people have this thing called double consciousness. We know how other people see us. And at the same time, we have a very decent idea how to connect to other people. That is remarkable. And so, you know, just move that ball 2 inches, and that would be good enough as a contribution. I mean, I know it's football this weekend, so just in that game, you got to just move the ball a few inches here, just in the right direction. So, in this month, and for everybody involved in the hard work, let the content of your character do the talking and move that ball a few inches at a time.
Mm. I kind of agree with you. Actually, not that I kind of, I do agree with you, Ben. And I think for me, you're transitioning into an elder. You're transitioning into someone I can actually trust. And I say that for two reasons. Just now, you helped me reset my thoughts around the deep freeze we were in, and I appreciate that. Then, secondly, I invited you, came over to do a keynote for the Yorubas, but there was no obligation for you to show up again, but you did. You showed up the second and the third time, and that spoke volumes. And for me, to me rather, and look at you always come anytime I invite you here. So I accept and I agree when you say let the content of your character speak. I think that's what you're doing. So
Thank you.
before we let you go, what are your plans real quick for 25? What sort of books are you reading to inform all this wisdom and this transition that you've so heartily made, Ben?
I am sharing some podcasts. One of them, the big one, is from Scene on Radio Season 2. There's so much good quality research work that's been done by John, the host, and it's captivating to listen to the series. It would help you understand where we've come from and why we are where we are today. You may also be able to find and watch John Ware's story, just unbelievable story about John Ware. So, yeah, that's a couple of things folks could do to inform themselves. And, Rome was not built in a day. Just move the ball 1 inch, 2 inches with the content of your character. Yes, a lot of people will be treating you, would want to treat you poorly, and so on and so forth. But remember, we have it less hard than those who came before us. And so let's complain less and let's keep pushing.
Mm. And with that, we say a big thank you, Ben Acquaye. You're a community leader, you're a lecturer emeritus, you're an amazing gentleman. And you are now, in my opinion, a leader, an elder of all Black people here in Edmonton. I want to say thank you.
You're
How
very kind. And, maybe, the gray hair would reflect all of that.
well, I suppose
All
when you've
right.
been around for decades, you speak, with finesse, and that's where you are, Ben. Thank you. I wish you a great night, and I hope to see you again. I'll be calling you to get insights on more than the deep freeze.
You bet. Thank you most kindly. Have a wonderful rest of the show and a fantastic Black History Month, and indeed an amazing 2025.
Thank you so much, Ben. Good night.
Take care, T. Bye bye.
Hi, I was being a quiet community leader, encouraging us to move the ball an inch. So if you enjoy that, if you're watching this, please share our content. We're going to take a 30-second break. And when we come back, we have Jon Morgan is our next guest. He is already here. So don't you go away. Hello, welcome back to Big Conversations. My name is Tee Adeyemo. At Big Conversations, we talk big. We have conversations about pretty much everything and anything under the sun. Tonight, our next guest is Jon Morgan. He's running. He's one of the candidates in the upcoming elections. And okay, without much ado, let's bring him in. Let's add him to the stage. Hi, Jon.
Hey T, how are you?
Oh my goodness, I've not seen you in how many years? Look at you.
Well, it hasn't been that long, I think. I mean, it's been 3.5 years since I
Oh,
was on
it's
your
not
show
long
last.
enough. It's
But
not long enough, Jon.
yeah, not long enough. It should be longer.
You said it's not been long. It's just 3.5 years. Maybe we should.
Well, there was that, but then we ran into each other at Churchill Station too, or
Oh, that
Churchill
is-
Square. So,
Oh, you remember? Look at you,
of course, I
Jon.
remember.
There's more hair on your face. You're looking
Yeah.
really alive and well. How are
Oh,
you,
thank you
sir?
so much. You look great too. So I'm really good. You? Or how you doing? So
I'm cold to the deep
you're
freeze.
cold.
I've been acting.
It is cold. It's. We just bought 2 new puppies. We got two Mexican Chihuahuas we just adopted, and so
Okay.
they just flew up here recently, and they're a little bit shell shocked with the cold weather.
Yeah,
So
they were imagining like this is, for even people who were born here. Imagine this is cold. You need a jacket going anywhere these days.
at least a jacket, maybe some gloves, a hat. So
Okay, Jon. The last time we spoke, other than at Churchill, other than in front of the train station, you were running for councillor for what EPICO. Help me pronounce that.
So yeah,
I'm not the candidate, right?
that's okay. But I think you live in this riding, so
Well, I should try. I
yeah.
should.
Yeah, that's okay. It takes time. So.
It does. You ran in 21 and you earned 9.6% of the vote. Why are you doing this again to yourself?
Well, why am I doing it again to myself? You know what? I put in a lot of the work and effort, and so we thought we'd give it another go. But I think some of the same issues that we saw last election are still there. And I come from so I'm a city employee. I've been working for the city now almost 20 years within transit. I'm a frontline uniformed member of staff there, and so I see a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of concerns last election around safety of my staff, around safety of community, and some of those things they're working on it. It's a challenge, but I really think there needs to be a ground level voice for city council, for the leadership, for the oversight of the city. So there's a lot of good, a lot of great visionaries, a lot of great policymakers on council right now. I don't see a lot of ground level knowledge and voices, to be quite honest with you. And so that's why we're giving it another go. I've been kind of since losing the last election to my fellow candidate, Councillor Jennifer Rice. I've been pretty busy with the community league movement, and so what I said last time when I lost that election was, there's lots of ways to serve a community. It's not just being an elected official. It's not just being your city councilor, your MLA, or your MP. You can get involved in all sorts of things. So I maintained that involvement the last 4 years. I was president of the Heritage Point Community League right here in Ward Ipikokini, Putsi, right in my neighborhood of Rutherford here. Leading events and leading soccer programs, and we're building an ice rink here right away as well. I've been coaching soccer a lot. I've been doing some street outreach as well with groups like Water Warriors as well. So, again, there's lots of ways you can serve your community. Looking to take that next step here in October. So.
Absolutely. And of course, when you've served as a city employee 20 years, you're bringing in like decades worth of experience, and you hear what people on the ground level are saying. And when they speak to you, what are you hearing them say? What is their level of discontentment? What are they saying to you that the incumbent may not be hearing, or the entire city council has missed out?
I think there's lots of concerns, and I hear it from both community and my staff about safety. So I work in the LRT system, and there is still plenty of concerns about safety on our system. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of violence, still a lot of drug use, stuff like that, and so a lot of those are deep-seated issues that are generational at times. But we really need to, in my opinion, for my staff's health, for my community's health, for the health of those folks that are out there as well, we really need to get some sort of handle on it. And so I hope to bring that compassionate approach to that work, and make sure that our staff are taken care of, our riders are taken care of. That I also see a bit of a barrier between some of the decisions that get made around. For me personally, for LRT, I see some challenges about alignments, signal system, stuff like that. Stuff that I can kind of bring some of that operational knowledge to council as well. Again, there's a lot of visionaries there, and a lot of great work, a lot of great policy coming out of there. But how does that policy and vision relate to the common person, to the ground? A lot of voices don't necessarily get heard about that stuff. So, so I hope to bring that forward as well. So.
Absolutely, and I hear you, because one of the things I've got here, there is growing concerns around cannabis usage, which you just mentioned, drug use, violence. You mentioned safety. You mentioned all the kind of stuff that your staff are leaning to hear. And we can hear your dog. Just leave them. It makes it sound
sorry about that. Yeah, they're playing. So the Chihuahua one of the Chihuahuas gets kind of excited around our bigger dog as well. So they're running around. So apologies for that. But go on.
No, it's fine. So what would you do differently? If the current city council, I think one of the things I'm hearing is the disconnect as well, actually, that they look very busy, the present council, but we're not seeing actionable things, or whatever it is they're doing is not filtering. It's not filtering into the grassroots level. So what exactly, John, are you intending to do differently?
Well, make no mistake, councillors are incredibly busy, like all the time. It's a busy job. Well, I work 40 hours a week, they work 80 hours a week, right? And so and make similar, probably a little bit less than I do in management now too, right? So they're very, very busy people. There's a lot of sacrifice that those folks on council make, and that vision is so valuable, right? But I do see a barrier at times between decisions at the top and the work that goes on the bottom, and I'm not sure where that barrier is. There's some great folks in the administration and management and in the leadership of the city as well. But I just want to make sure that the voices of the top get down to the bottom. The voices of the bottom get up to the top. We need to find ways that we can kind of all work together. You see that, with the job action that was happening recently. Well, I guess last year. And so it seems like there's, I guess it just, the working relationship really needs to be developed and kind of nurtured, and making sure that there's a lot of respect going both ways. And so hopefully, having worked as a bus driver, having worked as a union employee, as a very much ground level staff, now I'm, as I said, first level management. I've kind of seen a little bit of both worlds, and just making sure that we can break down some of those barriers. So honestly, it's about serving, right? It's about serving the people. It's about addressing the issues that are out there. And if we can kind of just like laser focus on that stuff, then I think we'll be successful. So
I kind of like when you say that you work a 40-hour week and they work 80-hour weeks, and they're incredibly busy. I kind of like the positive spin you put to it. They're good people over at City Council, but in your opinions, while you're running, like there's still stuff that needs to be done that hasn't been done. There's still changes you would like to see, but that you've not seen. And you also alluded to the fact that, especially with meeting transport, some of the things going on there is generational, like safety, violence, drug use. Okay, what I like to hear distinctively is ideas to put a generational break, to begin anew. What are some immediate steps you would take if tomorrow, you become counselor? How would you change any of this stuff? How would it not just, you know how to be busy? How would it not just be you work as usual? Because
yeah,
hard work is not something that you shy away from. And they work right now on council, right? So,
yeah.
what are the immediate steps you do to bring about this needed changes to safety, to drug use on? Let's start with Minton transport.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I don't want to demonize the trauma that people go through, the challenges that they face, and there is a lot of victims on both sides, to be quite honest with you, right? And so, um, and my concern is that, so as a M Transit operational employee, I'm running trains all day long, and so I'm not necessarily a social worker, right? But I'm still having to face these things. Same with the operators that are driving the trains and the buses. Same with my inspector group that has to respond to issues as well. We're all operational employees, and we have some supports with peace officers, and there's some really great work going on with some social workers as well, in that arena. But it's like it feels at times for a lot of staff, and I mean, I'm going to speak for myself, but I think what I'm seeing is, trauma being put onto some of those employees as well. And I don't think it's just Edmonton Transit employees. I think it's, honestly, it's riders, it's your neighbors out there as well in the community. It's anybody that's walking down the street, really, because we're kind of constantly seeing, and honestly overwhelmed with some real challenges on our streets right now. And so, um, yeah, I think we really need to kind of get to the root of these things. I'm a big advocate of, I've always been a big advocate of housing first. I'm wearing my harm reduction pin as well. And so, it's about treatment, meeting people where they're at, and then helping them get to that next step and getting off drugs or dealing with mental health issues or whatever else. So, the other component is there is a safety issue there still too, right? And so there are, unfortunately, there are people still in this arena, in this area, that are not, um, there to, um, do good things. So, and I see them hiding amongst, there's, with the chaos, people can kind of, um, hide within that world as well. And so, there is an enforcement angle as well on that, but it's careful not to. I don't want to be. We don't want to be policing poverty. We don't
Mm.
want to be policing people's, um, you know, issues that are not criminal. And so help the
Mm.
people that need to be helped, right? And, um, provide those supports and all the way along, not just one thing, not just providing shelter space, but actually like getting them something stable and secure. Unfortunately, it's a big challenge, and it's going to be something that all levels of government will have to be committed to. I'm hopeful of that. Hopeful to be, once I get on council, advocate for more of that, building relationships as well. So,
Yeah, thanks for that, John. I have paid particular attention to the problems of houselessness, and I hear when you said that you are a supporter of housing first. But what it seems to me is the city has an epidemic right now of there's a drugs problem, which is morphed also into this houselessness problem. And even though there are gains, the city has pumped a lot of money into organizations like the Open Mission to make sure that in a deep freeze like right now, everyone is looked after. I just wonder, is this epidemic going to go away? Is Edmonton in a decade or 4 or 5 years, I don't know, at some projected time, are we going to have solved this problem? Because I don't know, is it worse or better than 3.5 years ago? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Do you?
I'll tell you, 3.5 years ago was absolutely brutal. My mental health went down as well.
All right.
Because I did feel very much hopeless. I was still working through not only a pandemic, but also through all these challenges that, when we have these kind of big world shaking events like the pandemic, or
Yeah.
the cracks that are there really get expanded too, right? And so,
And you would experience it as a first responder. You work with Edmonton Transport. You deal with people.
I'm
face
not a first responder. I won't say
No,
that, but
no,
I am
no.
on the ground. So.
Yeah, maybe not first responder is the wrong word, but you're right on the ground. You meet with people raw every day, so you see a lot of that.
A lot of trauma for sure. I mean, part of what I've done is for my own sake has been to, if I can't help them necessarily
Mhm.
positively, while I'm
Right,
in the course of my duties, I've started volunteering. As I said, I spent a number of years
right.
there volunteering for Water Warriors, right? And so Water Warriors is a great street outreach group that does deliver sandwiches and food and clothing and
Right.
a friendly face. So at least we can help somebody out like that. But I mean, that's not the be all and end all either, right? It's just like there's a pathway, and we need to make sure that there's a pathway out of these systemic issues that people are facing, right? And so just putting somebody in a house is not going to solve the issue, right? But if you provide supportive housing, you provide treatment and access to treatment and the rest, then people have the supports they need to move to the next level of independence. And that's what you really want, right? And so unfortunately we're spending, and I mean, people always say, well, what's that going to cost, right? How's that going to affect my bottom line, the city's bottom line? But we're paying it already, right? So we're paying it in medical bills, we're paying it in damage to our system, we're paying it in loss of revenue to people that don't feel safe on a system that we're running on in transit. These are costs that we're already incurring. So if we can divert some of that cost to a more positive end game, then and that's something that's going to actually like address the systemic issues, then I think we're doing them a service. So a more human service.
All right, John, there are 3 other candidates at the moment who have declared for your ward. How do you differentiate yourself from them?
Well, I live in the ward. As I said before, I think what's been missing is that operational experience, that knowledge on the ground. I spent the last 20 years working my way through Edmonton Transit. I've seen some of the issues within the larger city organization. I bring that unique perspective to council that's frankly not there right now. I know Mayor So he was a bus driver. It's been a little while, so and he's a very compassionate man, and I know him personally. I've had a few meetings with him in my community league work, but I think that voice is of the ground of what's going on right now is a little bit lost. So I'm happy to bring that unique perspective and experience to the table. I've been serving the community for quite some time. As I said, I live in the community. I've served as community president in the area. I've served on the kids' school council down the street at Johnny Bright School. I've coached countless kids around here. Been building relationships with not only the voters, but just my neighbors, my community members, the families in the area as well. And so I bring a lot of that ground level knowledge and experience to the council race. So, and I'm happy to share it.
All right, John, you've spoken very well. I thank you for your time. When I talk to people, I often am not, I hear what you're saying, I intellectualize it, I write about it, and it's far removed from my own private life. But when you tell me your response to what you see as what you see, people you cannot help, what you see when you go out to work, your response is to volunteer. I cannot help everybody. That breaks me, actually. That tells me, is there more I can do? Could I volunteer my time? Could I help, serve, could I think a bit out of my own enclosed, comfy world and respond in the way that you do? So that's absolutely amazing. I want to say thank you for just dropping that nugget in the universe. It's more everyone can do, not just me talking to you. And I think that's fantastic. Where can people
Well,
find
you have to just definitely make sure that you take care of yourself first. But give what you can, right? And so, I've been very fortunate enough to be involved with the community league movement. The community league movement is a little gem in this city. 163 leagues in the city and growing. It's been a way to empower neighborhoods and community members and really just lift up voices, teach people the process and get people involved, right? So I've been very fortunate to have that. But I always told the rest of my board members as president, I was sat around the table with 11 other people. You do what you can do, right? And just don't make it so that it wrecks yourself, right? We all have families, we all have work to do. I have kids, and married my wife, beautiful wife, and I got 2-3 dogs now that I have to make sure that they get their exercise. And so you just got to make sure that you take time for yourself as well, but and kind of forgive yourself for not solving all the world's problems. Like, you do what you can and forgive yourself for what you can't. And so
at the start of this, we talked about mental health. You said it affected you. Was that in the past? So that's an ongoing thing.
You know what? I mean, you always got to keep that stuff in check. So I'm a frontline
that's the word,
officer of transit, right? And so I see a lot of stuff. I see a lot of stuff and stuff I wish I didn't see sometimes. And so it's finding those supports for yourself, taking the time you need for yourself as well, looking to build community around you and those supports. So so as I said, COVID really took a hit, not only on transit people like myself, police, fire, ambulance, anybody out in the world responding to and continuing to do their job, nurses, doctors, and so just it's gotten better since then, some of it, but some of it's still not there yet. And so as a leader, you hope to kind of address some of that and make sure you're there to support. So where can people find me? JonMorgan.ca. I put it in my little header there. My handle on most of my socials is at Jon Morgan Yag. I'm on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X ever. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, my new favorite, and heads and tails above Twitter. Happy to engage with anybody. Reach out, please. hello@jonmorgan.ca. My website has my phone number as well, and so happy to come out or talk to anybody. You don't have to live in the ward Ipiko Kinibuzi, but it helps because then you can vote for me But
you ran in 2021 and you earned 9.6% of the vote, John. I want to say a big thank you for coming out tonight. And I want to say thank you for all you do. This conversation has touched me, and I should find ways to respond in my own community. So thank you, John, for
well, if
tonight.
I can be of any service in that respect, let me know. But I think you do a great job serving your community as well. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Ladies Corner and the work you do. So I thank you for that as well. So.
Thank you. Okay, enough chatting.
Okay.
It's time for you to go spend the rest of the evening with your family and, of course,
bet.
your kids. All right, John.
Thanks, T. Take care. Bye.
Bye. That was Jon Morgan, a candidate for Ward EP Kokani PLC. I'm sure I didn't get it right. Forgive me. He ran in 2021 and he earned 9.6% of the vote. Our next guest is already here and waiting, and we'll bring him on right after this. Hello, welcome back to Big Conversations with your girl Tee Adeyemo. It's February 5th, 2025. And boy, we have a show for you. Our next guest is Dotun Ayodele Bamisaiye. He's many things to many people. To us, he's technical partner at the FEI.ca. He's accountant, chief principal accountant at Dexteritas.ca. He joins us now from God's own land, Calgary. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me here. It's amazing to be able to come and join you.
You're welcome.
And come and share in some of your sparkle.
Oh, sparkle indeed. Sparkle indeed.
Yeah.
So, you've been technical partner. We're going to come to your technical partner work with the FEI because you're a multi-dimensional man. But we want to start here with financial management. In today's world, we know many business owners struggle with financial management. What are some common mistakes you see, and how can they be avoided?
Thanks, T, for asking that. First things first, I want to say that under the current circumstances that we are dealing with in Canada, the economic situation, first we had to deal with all of the inflation-related matters. Finally, sometime late last year, inflation got under control. And then we are trying to see if there's some stability going to return. And then we have the resignation of the Prime Minister. And then January 20 came, and then we are in the tariffs, no tariffs, 30 days to determine what happens. There's so much uncertainty, right? But I want to say this to business owners, that in the time of uncertainty, there is also opportunity. So you can choose to approach this in two ways. One way is to say the sky is falling and you go and hide under a tree. Or the other way is to open your eyes up and look around you and say, what can I do differently because there's opportunity around me? So I'll say probably consider being the latter rather than the former, and let's see what good will come out of that. That said, when it comes to financial management, what should we be thinking about? What should we be considering? What should we be looking at? At the core of financial management is cash management. The saying goes and has been that cash is king. And for a business owner, nothing can empower you like a solid cash flow. Now, cash does not appear by magic. You plan to have cash by collecting from your customers and managing your payments. So somewhere between when you take the money from your clients and when you pay your vendors, you have a way of holding on to it such that what's coming in is always more than what's going out. Now, at the heart of that, for you to be able to get a grip on that flow, is accounting and financial reporting. And hey, you're in luck. I'm a CPA. I've been doing this for a minute, 2 decades. I'm going strong, right? The biggest mistake I've seen most business owners make is that they have absolutely no idea of what is happening in the business from a numbers perspective. Accounting is boring, I agree, but accounting is a language of business. And if you do not speak the language, you are uninitiated. The only reason I'm able to come to Canada and live in Canada and be in Canada as a Yoruba man is the fact that I speak the language. I speak English, so I can relate, I can converse, I can connect, I can participate in the economy. If you're in business and you don't speak the language of accounting, you do not speak the language of business, and you leave yourself short-handed and at a disadvantage. You are disadvantaged because you don't know when you are making money, you don't know when you are losing money, you don't know if you owe taxes or not. You can't tell what a good deal is and what a bad deal is, and that is not a place you want to be when you are in business. So the very, very most fundamental mistake I've seen business owners make is, as far as numbers are concerned, they just don't know what's going on.
I hear you. And they don't know because they lack the necessary skills to find out.
Exactly. And with that, as the once you say skill, it becomes apparent that, and you really don't need to understand it all. You don't have to understand the dual nature of accounting and debits and credits and all of that. If you did, that would be great. It'd be gravy. But the capacity to be able to say, okay, you know what? I made $10. To make $10, how much did I spend? Did I spend 15 or did I spend 5? If I spent 15, then that means I have made up with $5 of my own money. If I spend 5, that means I've created $5 from my business operation, which is a good thing. That's where you want to be, right? Now, some people say, oh yeah, I made $5. Fantastic. But is that all the cost that you've incurred to really generate that $10? Do you have an internet subscription? Do you have a cell phone that you own? Did you have to put gas in your car? Did you have to service your car? So it's one thing to say, this is what it costs me to make that $10. It's another thing to be certain that you have accounted for the full cost, right? So people are able to tell me most of the time that I made $10. I keep using $10 because it's an arbitrary number and it's easy to come up with. But most of the time, what people can tell me is, what is the actual cost of making that $10? Because there's so much, particularly for, SMEs, mom and pop shops, small businesses running out of a home, or even sometimes in an office and 1 or 2 employees. The business is so tied with the business owner that the owner finds it difficult to say, hey, this is a personal cost versus this is a business cost. And that creates a problem. So to be able to say that you are managing your finances properly, one thing that is clear that you must be able to do beyond just saying this is how much I made and this is how much I spent making it, is that you need to be able to separate your business from your personal life, whether that is legally or otherwise. Financially, you need to be able to divorce yourself from your business. And that's the only way that you're able to follow the maxim that says you pay yourself first when you're in an enterprise. If you can't tell the difference between yourself and the business, then paying yourself first really is not a thing, because, well, you don't know what that means. But if you know that this is business cash flow and this is where my bills come out from, and there are 2 very clear, separate, parallel lines, then paying yourself first means a thing, right? So being able to create that separation allows you to properly account for what it costs you to make whatever it is that you are making as income in your business.
Yeah, Doctor, thank you for that. You are also, what I didn't tell our guests is that you teach once or twice a week. So
I apologize. The teacher is coming out.
yes, all these things come very natural to you because even without looking at textbook, yeah, you know, you go and you
Thank you for giving me the platform to share this way. It comes to me. Yes, I agree.
Okay, so I was speaking with someone a couple of nights ago that said AI, artificial intelligence, is doing away with the work of accountants, not of lawyers or some professions. What, for example, is Dexteritas doing to make sure maybe in the next decade accountants are still here?
So this is what I'm going to say about that,
AI.
because this is something that is very important to me, something I've been thinking about. My experience in the last, I'd say, 8 years working in public accounting and then starting my own office. I can't say we've integrated a lot of AI into our practice. Yes, we leverage AI to an extent. But one thing I'm convinced about without a shadow of a doubt is the fact that AI is not going to take the job of accountants. Accountants that use AI will take the job of accountants that do not. And what do I mean by that? There was a time when accounting was done on paper with ledgers and journals. And for you to be able to prepare a set of financial statements for a simple mom and pop shop will take several months because you had to manually write every transaction out, debit and credit, then aggregate that to build a general ledger, then aggregate that general ledger, summarize it to build a trial balance, then use that trial balance to build a set of financial statements, balance sheet, and profit and loss accounts. Well, with Excel, it became possible to do that in a space of a few hours, Microsoft Excel. Now we're at the point where AI is making it possible to categorize transactions at a pace that is so fast that you are not burning hours doing that. And AI is also able to collate data and present it as financial statements. So we are coming to the point where the principal work of an accountant may no longer be preparing financial statements. It may no longer be supporting compliance. We are going to a time when the ability of an accountant to provide advice to business owners and to individuals seeking to grow their wealth is going to be their calling card. It's going to be their primary work. So compliance was difficult to achieve in the days of paper. Compliance has become way easier with spreadsheets. Now, compliance is going to become much, much easier with AI. Now, advice, that's where you're thinking. That's where you're considering options, right? Advisory will be much easier to deliver because you are now able to use AI to look at options, look at scenarios, choose a pathway, develop a plan, and then follow through. But the body of knowledge of accounting will still be required as far as the world is in business. And I don't see money going anywhere. So business remains, and we will be here.
I like the fact that you're already thinking about the future, and you can still see Dexteritas in action. There's space for your business in spite of the advances of technology of AI. I want to segue into the work you do with the community. And you heard Jon there. His response to his experiences working as a, can't remember how we put it. It's not first responder, but someone who works in transport. Is to volunteer. Your response, being with money, data, Excel spreadsheets, day by day, is to give your time with the FEI, their tax clinic. Now, I know you're incredibly passionate about this. You're a technical partner. Why is financial literacy so important especially in Black and in immigrant communities?
Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I work with two nonprofits. The FEI is one, and the FEI allows me to literally stand in the crowd and talk accounting, taxes, financial reporting, financial management at a personal level. Now, another organization I work with called Alberta Startup Court allows me to talk to business owners and entrepreneurs at a more strategic level. And that's even though it's still the same general body of knowledge, that's another platform that I enjoy the opportunity of working at. Now, as far as the opportunity to contribute and be in the community this way is concerned, I dare say that it's been probably the second most fulfilling thing that I get to do, which is speak as a professional about technical things in a way that the average person not only can relate, but they are able to understand and take action. Yes, I do have clients that I've been giving the same advice to for the last 5-6 years, and they just haven't been able to wrap their heads around it. Not because they do not understand, but because they haven't found the necessary. It hasn't become a necessity for them to take action. But I've also met clients who listen to me once and they come back the following year and they tell me, oh, I heard you say this and I did it, and this is the result that I got, and I am super grateful and I thank you for that. And there's nothing that I find more gratifying and more heartwarming than that. Now, when it comes to us as a community, the need for financial management, we are not a poor community. However, somehow the money just doesn't seem to stay. And that challenge is one that I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to address working in the FEI, because the FEI, one of the FEI's focuses is to support individuals seeking to build generational wealth. And we know that generational wealth does not come from a paycheck. It comes from your ability to hold on to some of what you earn, deploy it in capital, and watch it grow, right? So it's not about the big paychecks, generational wealth that is. It's about what you do with the paycheck, irrespective of the size. And I'm grateful that I get to, work with the FEI to spread that message, to talk about simple things like savings, like handling a credit card, like managing debt, like saving for retirement, like building an emergency fund, right? Those seemingly simple things that nobody wants to talk about because they're considered too basic. This is stuff that we should teach to middle school kids. Yes, I agree, but the fact is, if everybody had a grasp of it, the economy will be in a much more different place, and our community will be in a far better place. So if the results we are seeing today are the results that we have, well, the results say we still need to talk more about savings and emergency fund and debt and credit, those simple things, because that's still where we all are. I can hear you.
Oops. When newcomers come to Canada, they face incredible challenges, not just of the landscape, but also from their finances. I want you to talk some about the biggest financial challenges newcomers face. And as we approach the tax season, how does the FEI seek to help alleviate this very stressful period for newcomers and indeed low-income earners across Alberta?
So when it comes to newcomers, really, particularly when they come from Africa, Nigeria, for example, where I'm from, a functional credit system that doesn't take advantage of people isn't one that is, well, that wasn't the case when I was back home. I know there's quite some credit in the system, but the credit in the system is still the type that, people take and disappear and nothing comes of it. Here you come, you get a credit card, you don't pay it back. Even if it's $100 credit card, it could be the death of you, and it could make it difficult for you to secure a mortgage, even though you've paid back the $100 credit card years and years later. So one of the biggest challenges I've seen new immigrants deal with is understanding that, hey, it's credit, it's not income. So if you use it, you need to pay it back. Another thing I've seen people struggle with is understanding the connection between tax filing and government benefits. It's very common to see people come in and, like, oh, there's this benefit, there's that benefit, there's the other benefit, and then they put in applications and the funds start coming. And then somewhere around April or July of the following year, the funds stop coming in. And those funds stop coming in because their tax returns haven't been filed. Sometimes it's because people are not employed and they feel like they're like, oh, I haven't made money, so I don't need to file taxes. That is inaccurate. Everybody who is a resident of Canada, permanent or temporary resident of Canada, is required to file a tax return annually after the age of 18. So if you're 18 years or older, whether it's 18 years and 1 day or 18 years and 364 days, whichever one it is, as long as you are over 18 by December 31, you are expected to file a tax return at the end of that year. And from that point on, filing that tax return now allows you to be able to access the benefits that are accrued to you as a result of your status as a resident of Canada, which is why the FEI provides the community free tax clinic. It's happening in Edmonton and in Calgary at the moment. Calgary Full Gospel Church, 14th Avenue, 8th Street is currently confirmed. So from the 3rd of March until the 30th of April, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., the FEI and her volunteers will be on ground preparing and filing tax returns for members of the community with modest income for free at no cost. And I think we are currently working on 3 other locations, 2 in Edmonton, 1 in Calgary, 1 more in Calgary. I believe that the Africa Center is going to host us on Thursdays and Fridays within the same period, between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. The other 2 locations, as they become clear, we will share on our handles at thefei.ca. So file your tax returns. If you don't know what to do about that, send an email to operations@thefei.ca and we will hook you up with whatever it is that you need to get that done. As long as your modest income.
That was very well said, Doctor. Thanks. What are you doing for Black History Month? Are we doing enough to celebrate that?
For me, Black History Month is an opportunity to sit back, relax, and it's really not relaxing. It's just to go from event to event. So this for me, this is part of Black History Month, being able to show up here, and talk about what's happening with our community. BBVA is having a lunch party tomorrow in Calgary. I'm going to be there. On Friday, the CBC is having their fundraiser for their scholarship program, which is supposed to support Black students of tertiary education, U of C, MRU, U of A, SAIT, right, with scholarships. I'm going to be there. And of course, there are a bunch of other events. Startup Court, the organization, the other nonprofit I also work with, is hosting an event at the ATB Entrepreneurship Center on the 20th of February. We're going to be looking at the research done by Bow Valley College on the impact, the experiences really of Black entrepreneurs starting businesses in Canada, and how the ecosystem has supported them and the value they've been able to get out of there. So if you are definitely in town, that's an entrepreneur interested in how it's working with the Black community, that would be a great place to be. There are a boatload of other events though, so hey, yeah, I'm gonna show up as often as I can.
Yeah, so some people are saying that we need two separate sets of events, like one in February, and in August we celebrate Emancipation Month as well. Is this necessary in your opinion, or just one time a year in February, 28 days is enough to highlight and celebrate the achievements of extraordinary Black Albertans?
So this is my perspective, and I may be alone here. But I realize that we are all on a clock, however whether we like to accept it or not. And being able to recognize people and appreciate them when you see them so that they see it is an invaluable thing. So whether it's Black History Month, Emancipation Month, in the middle of the summer, in January, the coldest day of the year, Christmas Day, irrespective, really, honestly, I think we just need to keep celebrating the people that are, one, in the community, doing the work in the community, two, the people who are out there in society, making sure that we have a society that works, that we can go out to work, come back home, go to bed at night, wake up without, trepidation and fear that you may not be able to go out again tomorrow. We should celebrate that every day. And we should also celebrate the history that we have. The past is the past, but we cannot make it to the future without a clear view of what happened in the past and how it's affecting us today. So I'm one of those people that say, hey, I'm glad we have Black History Month. I'm excited about Emancipation Month. But let's not just pigeonhole it into those 2 months. Every time I see Tee, I want to say, Tee, well done. Thank you for the work you do at Ladies Corner. Thank you for the way you support the FEI. Every time I see any of my other colleagues, I see people like Dennis, I see people like Imole doing the work that they do in the community, right? I see people like Mommy Moji, Taiwo, Dr. Charles, doing the work that they do in the community. I want to say thank you for what you do, because it makes a difference, irrespective of the day of the year that it is. But I'm glad we get 2 months.
What I kind of liked about that response was how you also, tied in LCC Media to say thank you. You tied in.
Oh yeah. Because this is being able to be, at this grassroots level, bring the caliber of people you bring, whether it's from the legislature, whether it's from the federal government, whether it's from the council, the city council in Edmonton or Calgary or any other, municipality in the province, makes a difference. And being able to get people within our community to have a view into the larger society, it's great value there. So well done, and thank you for doing it, and thank you for sticking to your guns.
And thank you for seeing what we do as well. Okay, so here's our final question. We're just waiting for our next guest to begin to line up. Trump's tariffs in Canada, your thoughts?
Well. Finally, we get to the tariffs, eh? So this is my perspective on the tariffs. Mr. Trump wants something, and he's made up his mind he's going to get it. And most likely he will get it. The question is, at what cost? The USA-Canada relationship is so strong that Canadian provinces will rather trade freely with the US than trade freely with each other. That's how interesting Canada is. We all want to piggyback on the big brother. We don't want to piggyback with the remaining 12 brothers, right? And it would be good to see that arrest. It would be good to see that fix. because that suddenly changes what the supply chains look like, what the value chains look like, what service delivery looks like, and what the economic environment actually looks like. Now, the impact of the tariffs, if they do kick in, because right now there's a 30-day break that started maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. The impact is just going to be prices just go up, really. Prices will just go up because, and it's not going to be just American products, because the American products will get more expensive, and then the Canadian producers will say, hey, there's an opportunity here for me to make a margin. So they will raise their prices ever so slightly enough to make a difference for them, but not so much so that they start to compete with the American products at that time. But guess who's paying the price? The average everyday Canadian. So the tariffs don't help anybody. The tariffs are just going to make life more expensive. And it's something I'm hoping that, they're going to be able to get. This is what Mr. Trump wants, and this is where we are going to get to. And he says he's fine, and then we forget about the economic war, because this is war. This is economic warfare, and it doesn't have to be so. I still believe in good neighborliness.
So what do you think will happen in 30 days? Is he going to go ahead with the war, economic war, or is going to back down at some point? So,
honestly, I don't see him backing down if he doesn't get what he wants.
What does he want?
Well, at this point, to me, it is not clear. I know there's talk about the border and strengthening the borders because of substances. Fentanyl in particular seems to be what has been mentioned. Now, Canada isn't a country that's known for production. So saying that this border is the source is challenging. But my perspective is he's going to get what he wants because, 450 million people versus 41 million people. We know who wins, right?
Yeah, and he keeps saying he wants Canada to be 54 states.
I believe that's part of the rhetoric. That is part of the rhetoric to bring us all to the table. Now we are listening, right? There was the 51st state, then there was the tariffs, then we now have a 30-day deadline. 30 days deadline, most likely there's somebody who's holding a list of things that have to be in place within 30 days. And if that person succeeds, then we may not get tariffs, or we may get mild tariffs. I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Last night, he was saying he wanted 1.7 million Palestinians to move into Egypt, Turkey, wherever to leave Gaza. Is it just mere talk?
All of these things have significant political and economic ramifications. Washington may be far removed, but those ramifications are the things that need to be considered before we can say, oh, this is going to happen or not. It's difficult for you to say, Ms. Popo, here are my friends. You must accommodate them until further notice. And I have not sent you a check. I have not sent you any resources. I've just told you, these friends of mine, you must accommodate. It's an interesting place to be. Does he have the power to make it happen? Possibly. However, I believe that there are just too many moving parts. There are just too many moving parts for us to say, it's guaranteed it's going to happen or it will not. But I can tell you for free that it's going to be challenging. There's no easy path to any of these things that we are talking about at the moment.
If anybody knew anything about, or if anybody wanted to know anything about anything, you're the first person I would ask them to contact. You said that with a lot of certainty. You have insights to Trump White House.
No, I did not. I watch CNN like the rest of us.
You're principal accountant at dexteritas.ca. You're a technical partner at the FBI, a financial literacy not-for-profit. I want to say a big thank you for spending some of your Wednesday night with us and for, indulging my line of questioning. I'm grateful so much for your support and for the kind words which you've offered to LCC Media. Where can people find you?
Fantastic. So you can find me Bamisaiye.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Bamisaiye. You can find me on Instagram as Ayodele Bamisaiye. You can find me on Facebook as Bamisaiye. And then, of course, even though that's not my name, you can find me at dexteritas.ca, which is the home of the consulting accounting firm I run. Email address is dotun@dexteritas.ca, and I'm always excited to talk about accounting, talk about taxes, talk about building wealth. That's where my head and my heart is at.
And we see that. We thank you so much. We need to move you on now. Please enjoy the rest of the day with your head and your heart. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Me. All right then. Have a good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye. Our next guest is here and already waiting. That was technical partner at the FEI, chief accountant at dexteritas.ca, Ayodele Bamisaiye, talking about taxes, businesses. That's where his head and his heart is at. Without much ado, I bring to you the communications director of the Nigerian Canadian Association of Edmonton, Dr. Chris.
Good evening.
Where is the echo?
I do not know. Excuse me. I do not know.
Am I on?
I seem to be seeing myself in two places on my system. Is that
okay, close one. Close one. You should only be in one place. Let's fix that real quick. Okay. So we're just waiting for Dr. Chris's Yeah, we'll take a short break whilst we wait for Dr. Chris. Okay, we'll be right back. Don't go away. We're waiting for Dr. Chris to join us. He's Communications Director, Nigerian Canadian Association. Hello, welcome back. I saw Dr. Chris just now. Okay, here we are. Hello, sir.
Yes. Is it sounding better?
No, perfect. I think that was the right thing to do. We had to let you go and come back in. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening here. Dr. Chris Chukwuma, you are the Communications Director. You're a Director at the Nigerian Canadian Association of Edmonton. You're also a wise leader, a community leader. And we've had several chats back and forth, just I've not been a faithful friend. There was a time where we used to speak a bit frequently, but this and that has happened. It's good to see you again, sir. You look alive. I love the hats. I love the pie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, sir. Happy New Year. Thank you.
You look calm in 2025, like kind of more relaxed, more refreshed, more more at home with yourself. You have to give me the secret of what happened.
I'm not using myself. I did feel bored with the purple hair. I wanted to try other things. I felt I could not. I just wanted some time with me, and cutting my hair, and you can see some grays. Like, yeah. Other than that, there are no tricks to this thing. But I thank you for seeing me, and I thank you for your compliments and kind words. But tonight is not really about me. It's about you. So let's get right into it. So, shall we start with the Nigerian Association and then we move to other community matters? What might you say? I don't know if it's something you've discussed. The plans. What are the plans of the Nigerians for 2025? What are you planning to expect?
Well, the Nigerian Canadian Association of Edmonton always has a plan for Nigerians, and that's because the association itself exists to support Nigerians. Are you still in the studio?
No, don't do
Okay, all right. Yeah, so the association itself exists to support Nigerians. And because it exists to support Nigerians, all of the activities that we do and all of the efforts that we put is basically, if you like, to just support the Nigerians that are in the the greater Edmonton area, that is Edmonton and all of its surrounding small towns and cities who don't have their any separate association. Now, as you know, in Alberta, there's an association in Calgary, there's an association in Lethbridge. I think there's an association in Fort McMurray, if I remember. But apart from that, these are the major centers where there are associations within Alberta. So the Edmonton chapter caters for all of these other small cities. Now, straight to your question, there are quite a lot of things that we, for instance, February 15th, for the Black History Month, we have something that we've called Tales and can't remember, but it's a program that's about Tales by Moonlight, and it's just basically trying to trace the history of the Blacks, the Black community, the SCB community, as I call them, the Nigerian community and African community within Alberta, just to understand how we've done our journey so far, and put it in context with the level at which the celebration, or if you like, the commemoration of the Black History Month has got into now. That event will be holding on February the 15th, and we invite every SCB person and friends of Africa and Nigeria to please attend. Look out on the NCAE website and social media. You will basically see the invitation. They will soon be coming out, I think, later this week. But that's this February. In March also, we have some events, that are being planned. I don't think I can mention those ones by name yet. But by April, we probably be. It will be this executive will be ending their tenure, and then a new executive will be taking over. After that, we're preparing for Heritage Festival, and then Nigerian Heritage Month in October. There's also there are events. Well, wait, I think I missed one. There's an event in March which I can mention. That is a seminar on families and immigration matters. So that event is coming up in March, and again the flyers will be out soon. So there are quite a lot of activities that are on the line, but the bigger issue with that NCAE addresses are issues of harmonizing our community, we have other smaller associations, if I may use that phrase. I hope it doesn't offend anybody, but we have other associations that cater for smaller portions of the Nigerian community in different ways. the NCAE is the melting point where all of these people all of these associations converge to be able to create the bigger picture of the Nigerian community in Canada or in the US or anywhere. So the same thing here in NCAE. So at present, we are putting structures. We are cleaning up. We have a set of consultants now doing our strategic planning, just so we can see the roadmap to where we're going, in the next 5 years. We also have, we kind of stepped down a little bit before on registering as a charitable status. So now we're picking up that particular activity because we want to do that. We also want to see how we can, get the Nigerian House back on the stage. That's part of the plan that's coming. And of course, there are so many other activities. By October has been declared Nigeria's Heritage Month, as you know. By October, there is so much activities from the 1st of October to the end of October. So there are a lot of events, a lot of things coming up. We're also working on collaboration with other African communities just to make sure that we have a harmonization, and then we can take it to the level of the SCB community. So that's a summary of what we're doing.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Oh dear.
You were breaking up.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's coming from you.
What's going on? Let me understand. So if there's anything I can do about it, let me do it. What's going on?
I'm hearing myself twice.
Oh, you're hearing me twice?
No, I'm hearing you.
But you're hearing yourself twice.
Yeah. Look on your tabs. StreamYard on twice.
No. So like I said, so you have me on this main screen, but then down here, there's also me again. So I closed it before, but it closed everything.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
I closed. So I think I knew. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So if I say no, so if I say remove from this stage.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's soldier on.
Let me see. Audio avatar done. Edit avatar now. So I basically do not know what's causing the problem. Let me see. Well, I have checked everything here. I don't know what's causing the problem. So you are echoing to yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay.
And that wasn't happening before I came.
No.
And if
it wasn't happening before.
Did it happen now that I muted myself?
Okay, so it's better now. It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, what did you do differently?
I muted myself and then turned it back.
Okay, so it's a lot better. It's gone now. It's disappeared.
Oh,
like
interesting. Interesting. Oh, that is not technology. That's just trial and error, obviously. So, but sometimes technology is trial and error. I found out. So.
Yeah. Okay. So in Edmonton, we're 1.52% roughly Nigerians. What are some of the most pertinent problems you get from the 15,000 to 20,000 Nigerians roughly that live within Edmonton?
Okay, Sorry, let me try to understand the question more appropriately. What did you ask?
What are some of the problems you get from Nigerians, or let's say Africans, a community leader? What are some of the problems? What are some of the biggest challenges facing Nigerians and other African immigrants in Edmonton today?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I said let me hear the question again, because the way I had the question before, I would have given you answers that do not relate to what you're asking, but I'm glad I asked back. So, well, good question, and actually perhaps the biggest question. The challenges that we see within our community, the Nigerian community, the African community, the ACB community. But let me restrict myself to the Nigerian community. When Nigerians come here, I think that the bigger problem, even though people probably won't largely agree with me, but the bigger problem is cultural integration. I say that because we do things certain ways in Nigeria, and when people come here, it doesn't occur to them that, for instance, information is everything. So they don't seek information, they just start doing things because there's something they already had in mind from Nigeria before getting here. And that is the origin of a lot of the other problems that that we have within the Nigerian community. So some of the complaints that we've had, has to do with the way that Nigerians, kind of handle their children, their parenting style, what I call the activities that surround their hustles. For instance, recently we began to get a lot of complaints about parents who leave children too young at home alone, to go out, and then there's a report about them and all of that. So those are the type of things we are trying to address in the seminars that you see us, now doing as an association. So those problems are there. But the larger problem that the ACB community has all fall on Nigerians, inability to get jobs, or when you get jobs, they are not the appropriate job for your profession, and, high cost of getting licensed or getting re-educated or recertified, and then our people don't come with a lot of money and all of that. So we haven't had a lot of problems that are within the criminal justice system. We don't have that problem in large numbers, but we have problems with jobs. We have problems with children. We have problems with businesses and all of that. So our problem is more economic than any other thing, and because it's more economic, it also affects all the social determinants of health, that exists within our community. But the solution would have been that we all bond together and think through it together, so that our people can have access to the resources that the government, both the federal and provincial, have provided. But our people tend to be withdrawn from the community when they get here. So I think the larger issue for both the NCAE and the other smaller associations that serve the Nigerian community in the environment is actually, to be able to put out a way to pull all of these people into the community circles, so that the resources, they can have access to the resources, they can have information, people can help them, for instance, the NCAE, is able to connect people to certain forums where they can actually get mentoring or get job search support or get resume support. The other smaller associations also, whether it's Acquaye or YCAE or any of that, also have the same resources, but people are not really embracing, the associations that much. So Nigerians generally come and stay withdrawn from the community and that is affecting, the way that, the progress within the community, because a lot of things in Canada depend on networking. Depends on, how you network, where what people you know, and what information you have. And the people you know are the people that give you the information you get. And then from there, you can do your own research, but at least you have a head start somewhere. So many Nigerians are not doing that yet. And that's our focus area, is to ensure that we begin to do what we can to bring people who are not within the community circles from wherever they are. Because as you said, there are probably 15,000 Nigerians in the Edmonton, larger or greater Edmonton area. But if you take all the 18 associations, or 16 plus NCA is 17, thereabout, if you take everyone together, there are not more than 3,000 people in all the associations. So the rest, probably 12,000 are outside the associations. And therefore, they don't get the kind of support they should be getting. And we then get to hear an example we had today. Somebody lost her husband, and both herself and her husband don't belong to any association at all. And now NCAE has to run to, even from personal information that was given rather than official information, to go and find a way to provide support. But if they belonged properly, before even this happened, the NCAE would have been able to do more than just hearing it now and then getting there to find out, what can we help to do. We would have started already helping. So I guess that's part of, those are some of the challenges I could immediately point out.
Okay, so how can the wider Edmonton community support the NCAE for 25?
The NCAE is a volunteer organization. I hope you know that. So basically, our major plea is that everybody comes and be a part of it. Now, before now, the association used to insist on pay your dues, be a financial member. That we have surpassed that already, because we have found that whether you pay the dues or not, the money realized from the dues will not do so much. What is important to us is that people be a part of serving the community, be a part of the community that we serve. In other words, they should come out, they should be active, and then they can volunteer for a lot of the activities we do. And so when we all hold hands together, then we can also be able to begin to look at the problems and difficulties and the stress factors and begin to deal with them together. But if we don't see them at all, if they are not coming out at all, if they are not bringing even whatever their complaints or problems are, and if they are being lone wolves everywhere and nobody is flocking together with the association and the other smaller associations, then they are not going to get the support that they need, and then the problems will continue to remain. So the major ask is people should come out and be a part of the association and volunteer. Now, I will personally add as communications director that you don't necessarily have to come straight to the NCA if you don't want to. We will prefer that. We will prefer that Nigerians and people of Nigerian heritage come straight to NCAE. But if you can't come straight to NCAE, find your ethnic cultural association in Edmonton and join, because through there also we will reach you. Through there, you would also have even far much more support, because that's like family. That's like the grassroots family before you come to the level of the NCAE. So I would say, if you can't even come straight to the NCAE, go to one of those, the one that you belong. There's Acquaye State Cultural Association, Edo State Cultural Association. I don't know. I just said Igbo Cultural Association, Yoruba Cultural Association, Northern Community of Edmonton. All of that, like I just said, there are about 17 of them, or there are 16 of them already that exist, in Edmonton, apart from the NCAE itself. So we would prefer everybody to come to the NCAE directly. But if you can't, at least go to that smaller community and start from there. And then you can begin to make contributions to the larger community. Because again, we draw volunteers from all of those smaller associations every time that we have any major project or event to do.
Dr. Chris Chukwuma, we can't complete everything I have here for you. So we'll have to, because of our technical problems and this and that, we will reconvene again maybe in a couple of weeks. I hope when I invite you again, you will say yes. There are more questions.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'll talk to you.
Very good. Thank you so very much, Dr. Chris. We should let you go now. We still have one more guest, and big conversation ends for this episode. But yeah, I'll reach out to you again so we can conclude our conversations about what you do, the NCAE, and yeah, lots more for 25. Exciting.
Yeah, and talk about my personal business in consulting and change management and strategy development and
we didn't even
training.
get there. Yeah, we didn't even get there.
All right. Yeah, that's important.
That's true. I'll reach out to you again, sir. Well, thank you so very much for coming.
So nice to be here. Thank you for having me, and have a good evening, okay?
Yes, sir. You
All
too.
right, bye-bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
So our final guest tonight is Ikenna Onuorah, is the publisher of one of the latest magazines in Edmonton, The Node. Without much ado, here is Ikenna. Hi, Ikenna.
Hi, T. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is the second time I'm seeing you. First was at that event in North Edmonton somewhere. And this is the second time. How are you, sir?
I'm not too bad. Are you?
Okay, I'm good. Thank you for joining. So why was there a need for another magazine?
Well, so for us, I'd need to backtrack on what the Node is to us. And I don't know. Did I lose you or are you still here?
No, I'm here. I just wanted you to get comfy and.
Oh, okay. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
I prefer I do this. I could also.
So we're not just a magazine at the Node, right? We were currently beta testing our mobile app. We had a clear mandate, which was to recirculate the dollar in the Black community, self-sustain the efforts and initiatives that solve for, Black wealth and Black excellence. And on that journey and the way we sought to build that solution was to build an app that would leverage artificial intelligence to aggregate all of our different Black groups and initiatives and programs into one space. So one complete access to one network, which is what we sought to build. But in the process of building the app, it was important to us, stakeholder buying was important to us. And you can't build or create such a movement without leveraging media. The world over, history has shown that you have to leverage media. And one of the ways that we sought to do that was through a magazine. Just so that we're able to reach, there's two clear purposes for that, for leveraging our media assets, which was one, celebrate Black excellence. Two, inspire and inform the Black community on the need to be intentional where we put our money. So just to reiterate, and I like to always explain this, and I'm happy that people see, so that means is validation if people see the magazine and understand and appreciate or celebrate the magazine, because that was its intention.
Okay. So what's the vision going? How is that going like to have people to have to see? I'm trying to rehash what you just told me now. How is the vision going? The question is, how is the vision going? Are people buying into the vision of the Node?
Absolutely. It's exciting because
entrenched. Yeah. Okay.
So we have a lot of programs that we do. So I'm taking the magazine, for example. We have an issue every 2 months. In each issue, we have
six
sorry? Say again?
Editions a year.
6 editions a year. In each
Okay.
edition, we have between 15 and 25 contributors who are industry leaders from the Black community across Canada. Excuse me. We are very intentional as to where the representation comes from. Every province is represented in each edition. We try as much as possible. Anglophone, Francophone, Africa, Caribbean, there's total representation. We're about to put out our 5th edition. So you can do the numbers, 15 to 25 contributors after each issue. So each magazine issue has a 2-month editorial lifeline. The first month is for the digital issue, and the following month we have a physical event called the Nord Nexus. Basically, it's where we invite 30 industry leaders, people flying from Quebec, Montreal, to come to this event every 2 months as well, where we unveil the print issue and then we circulate the print issue as well. So as of last count, the short answer to your question, as a last count, we have 51 community or groups who have signed to migrate their different groups to the app. We have somewhere close to 900 innovators who we chose to call innovators across Canada, who have contributed to the publication, joined the movement. Just 2 months ago, our first historian laureate, Donna Combs, just let us know that she archived the Nord magazine in the city of Edmonton for future generations to see the efforts on promoting Black economy, Black wealth. And there's efforts to do the same across Canada as well.
Okay, that's fantastic. So talk to me about the app. So is that the app in which the magazine sits in? What is this app? No.
So I'll talk to you a little bit about, and I like that you asked the question, why another magazine? My background is in marketing and product, and in everything we try to do excellence, because like we said, we want to celebrate Black excellence and we have to celebrate it the best way. So from the quality of the content, the delivery of the content, the publishing as well. For example, we as far as we do know, in Edmonton and Alberta, we're the first magazine with our own publishing platform, digital publishing platform. We don't publish through third-party services. We publish on our own portal, on our own website. You can read the content. You can actually listen to the content as well. So we have text to audio conversions. It's amazing stuff. Now that's on the media arm of things. The app currently is we have an exclusive event with Futurepreneur on the 12th, next week Wednesday, and you're all invited, where we would first publicly demo the app. It's on iOS and Android, is in beta phase now. So to answer your question, the first step, and it's something that I'm sure we all know, we've all spoken about it. The gentleman, I was so happy listening to him just before now, also hinted the same point. There's a lot of, we operate in silos, we as a people, and we need to solve for that. And that's the idea behind the app. Most of these initiatives, ICAE, NCAE, all of them all run through WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, LinkedIn groups. They are not built to deliver the programs that we intend to deliver. And if you max the number, say you hit 1,000 member limit, you have to create a separate group. So it defeats the purpose of having a community. So what about security? What about privacy? I know people who would rather not join those, and true to his point, who would rather not join those apps because people will spam you. Your number is out there for people to see, there's security risk of hackers and stuff. So the app, first and foremost, makes it easy. Like I said, we have a radar function, which allows you, for example, if you're driving through White Avenue or you're driving through Glen Riding or Windermere in the south, West Edmonton, for example, it notifies you if there's a black business, black event, or black individual in that axis. So basically, it's an enabler to what we already do and what we've always tried to solve for. And that's just the first version of the app.
Okay, that sounds amazing. When is this unveiling event again?
February 12th, next week. We do the first public demo. It's happening at the Edmonton Unlimited Space.
Okay.
It's an event hosted by Futurepreneur.
All right. Okay. I'll look for it. So how do you see the Nod playing a role in Black History Month celebrations and discussions?
So our positioning at the Nod is more towards Black future. So we appreciate and we always would celebrate Black history, but further to that is what we like to look into the future. This us as today, what legacy will we leave, and what would it look like for future generations to come, right? And so our biggest gift and our biggest activity is unveiling our app during Black History Month that enables the recirculation of the dollar within our community, that enables that celebrates Black excellence, enables true connectivity. I always make a joke. In other communities, if an immigrant comes into a new city, their connection to within that city is complete. For example, even if they don't plan to buy their first home in the next 2 years, they actually know who the mortgage advisor, who the real estate agent, they know everything. They know how they're going to access funds. But we don't have that kind of connection. You are limited to the network you have. Our gift for this Black History Month is to truly connect Black people everywhere. Think about it. T, I don't know. I'm speaking again as an immigrant. I don't know how long you've been or if you were born in Canada, but we've tested this we have sample size. We did our research. You move into a new city or you start a new job. There's always extreme effort that we have to put in. You want to check in your company's database for another Black person. You want to go on LinkedIn, but what about having that one space where we don't have to, Igbo Association, they're all well and good, but a larger network. We speak about collaboration, we speak about networking, but when your collaboration is limited to the immediate network you have, you're limited. So our play for Black History Month is to open up and offer to truly decentralize and democratize access to resources for us as a community.
That's an idea, Ken. I have to tell you, that's an idea. You're also the producer of the Jollof Festival, Jollof Fest, which is a unique celebration of culture and food. What can we expect from Jollof Fest in 25?
So, true to type with most of the ventures that I support, we started out, like you rightly said, as Jollof Fest, I think 2 years ago. And, so that to accommodate our Caribbean brothers and sisters, we added jerk to it. So it's jerk and Jollof Fest now. We do have a festival director. We have a festival team. I stepped away subtly from it last year, but this year I can tell you there's a lot more exciting things on offer. For example, I do know that there's a cookbook. So Jerk and Jollof Fest is our way of promoting culture and cultural exchange. So we want to use those things that make us truly Black. Those things like food, the importance we place on the family unit, our fashion, things like that, our enterprising spirit, our resilience. So we have projects like the cookbook. We have an animated series for kids. that would take our allied communities and introduce them to our culture as a people, in a fun and entertaining, content on YouTube, on TikTok. So there's that animated series. There's also the cookbook, and then there's a festival that I do believe is in August this year. But I know sometime this month the exact date will be announced.
You are very busy. Ikenna, how do you balance everything, being a husband and a dad as well?
So truth is, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. The first time I worked any job is in Canada. True story. From college, university, I've always run my own business, successfully. So thank God, from Nigeria and to Canada. So I've learned over time, and I actually do mentor people on this, the power of delegation, building teams, planning out transition. You're transitioning in everything that you do. So like I said, Jollof Fest, 2 years plus in, I'm not fully involved anymore, but there's a team that delivers on its mandate. Same thing with, I do run a full service digital marketing agency. 2 years in, there's an active team in Ontario and Edmonton that run that agency now. So the short answer to your question is, you need to time management, the art of delegation, and building teams and building teams. That's the only way, and that's the way I've been able to do. Trust me, I can't say everything that I do. I can't say.
I can imagine. Ikenna Onuorah, you are the founder of The Node Inc. and is, would I say, ex-producer of Jollof Fest. Because of time, I have to let you go. It's already 9:10. You need family time. I need family time. But I'm hoping that when we extend an invitation to you again, we can come and talk about The Node. I've heard some pretty mind-blowing stuff tonight, and I want to hear more. And I should be investigating. I kind of like the idea of black money, putting money. And I think I've heard some of this with Lavar, from Lavar. The way you've said it tonight is just sparked like, wow, what an amazing and incredible idea that is, especially with this app that you have coming up. So I could be in Windermere right now, and then the app blinks. There are 5 people, there's a barber here, there's a black barber, there's a black dentist, there's a black dermatologist, and so on and so
I
forth.
see that you're connecting and resonating with it.
Yeah, I kind of like it, because if we don't, like I said to Dr. Chris earlier, on about 15 to 20,000 just Nigerians. I'm just wondering, in terms of black with Caribbeans and the entire African continent, what is our population in this city? It'd be nice if we can be true to ourselves and actually support each other's business, or at least begin the process and teach our children, so when they grow up, they'll do the same. If some of us don't buy in, maybe our children will. So it's a great initiative to start. I wish you all the best, honestly, Kenna. That was just beautifully said.
Thank you so much. And I would look forward to another session where I can demo the app to you and your audience.
Okay, yeah.
Just do a walkthrough so that everyone can see what and how it works. And just to add to what you just said, it would blow your mind, the amount of money that we spend, but we don't keep within the black community. We've worked with research institutes and researchers across Canada. We have these numbers. We have the statistics. You're thinking Edmonton. I'm talking about the total amount of money that we spend.
Why don't we spend our money amongst black organizations? What is the one reason why we don't support one another?
So there are 2 ways to look at it, right? And And I'll use an example of a story that I heard from a leader at Scotiabank. And she used to lead a branch in Edmonton, and she moved just a few kilometers to another branch in St. Albert. And she was shocked by the transaction volume just a few kilometers away. But the difference was, in St. Albert, they are intentional in knowing where whose business is. So when I hear people say things like, we don't trust each other, or we need to up our game so that our services are better, our products are better, that's secondary. Primary first is for us to be able to access ourselves easily. It's I don't know if you've experienced, it's tedious. We actually create platforms for us to be able to find ourselves. It's tedious. And even in creating those platforms, we also now create them in silos. So if I find myself in a Francophone group, I find Francophone people, or I find Caribbean people, or I find Nigerian, or I find Igbos, or I find Yorubas. It's crazy. So the first step to answer your question is, let's aggregate and be in one place. At least let me know that there's, you know, I had a conversation and someone was telling me, I would love to buy a black made designer leather bag, like that she has found. There's no one. That she used to patronize some lady in Kenya, but there's nobody here now. It should be easy for us to know that. So once that opportunity is there, that we can find each other, the rest, don't worry. Human nature will take its place. Some people would support, some people would not. Some people will buy in, some people will buy in later. But let it at first be easy for us to find ourselves.
Okay, so this lady found in St. Albert that black people in St. Albert were patronizing black businesses. Was that our observation about St.
No,
Albert?
her observation was business generally. So St. Albert as a community has a habit. And I don't know if I lived in St. Albert before I moved to Edmonton.
Okay.
They are very pro St. Albert business. They are very big on it.
Okay.
So it's not, be you black business or Jew business or Italian business, they are very pro. This business is owned by a St. Albertan.
Oh, so they patronize because of
So
that.
so you see, because they are big on it and they know who owns this, who owns that.
Right.
You would find that the St. Albert owned daycare will always be at capacity.
Okay.
The St. Albert owned bakery will always sell out. Meanwhile, there's a huge superstore beside it. But they all know that this one is our own person.
We have to support. Okay.
So once we know that, okay, T does this, or Ikenna does this, or not in our different silos, once we know, it's easier now. Those that there'll always be innovators, like I choose to call them, that would want to, you know, take the initiative and do positive things. There'll always also be the haters. But let us also know. Let's just know that, okay, this person does this, this person does that, this person. So when I think top of mind, I want to consume good content. Let me hit Miss Popular. Like, let's know
who does what, so we can support. As a convenient place to rest our conversation. Ikenna Onuorah, founder, The Nod Inc. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Okay, so that was our last guest. What a show it's been. Since 7 p.m. We've had Ben Acquaye on leadership, and then we had Jon Morgan, a candidate for EP, a candidate for, and then we had Dr. Ayodele Bamisaiye, and then we had Dr. Chris, and then we wrapped it up with Ikenna. We'll be back. We'll be back not next week. We'll be back up a week with big conversations. I want to say thank you so much for your time. The deep freeze is still on. Make sure you keep warm. Look after yourselves. Good night.